hutch. And then this side is all screened. And it's got a little door in it. And it's got a little door in it. And your rabbits can go in and out. And what we've done is we put a screen on the bottom and a 2x4 on each end. So it sits 3 inches off. So when you set the rabbits, they'll mow everything down to 3 inches. So it's a lawnmower. And then you take the same thing with no screen and you put a chicken in it and then put it right where the rabbit was and it'll till in the rabbit except where it was at. So we've taken these like rabbit chicken tractor units that we built and we put a pallet here, a wooden pallet here, a wooden pallet here, and we put screen doors in front of them. And then I run a piece of PVC pipe across like this. And I set these on top, so these tractors sit like this. So when I'm not using them, the rabbits poop down in my compost bins. And since these are wooden pallets, at the bottom of the wooden pallet, we cut out a little hole in the wooden pallet, and I got my chicken coop down here. So when I'm not using the chickens in the chicken tractors and the rabbits in the chicken tractors, the rabbits poop down and the chickens come across and toss all that in my compost bins. And then at night the chickens can go there and I can open these up and we just scrape out all the compost, put new green in, close them, and the next day if we're not using them they just poop down in the thing and then the chickens can go through and just scratch up and during the compost. I have them so that these tractors up on top, I have 2 males and 4 females. That system right there produces 525 pounds of meat from those rabbits. My average cost, just if I didn't feed them anything else out of my garden to pay for the feed for those rabbits, is $500 for the year. If I only fed them feed. So that's $500, right? So if you're looking,
good feed.
Yeah,
that's feeding them good feed.
That's feeding them good. Yeah, right. You know, that's good feed, right? A cup a day of really good. I mean, I'm not buying crap.
Right.
So I got about $500 in food. This rabbit or the rabbit tractor systems and the rabbits. Each rabbit cost me $10. So $60 in rabbit, $500 in feed, and it basically those cages cost me about $40 a piece to make. So I got less than $1,000 in this, just in the rabbits. Less than $1,000. Ground beef sells at an average of $4 a pound. 4 times 5 is 2. So that's $2,000 plus I get meat on a less than $1,000 investment. My first original investment, I told you, is under $1,000. If I sell the rabbit pelts for $5 a piece to $8 a piece, I'm yielding about 80 little bunnies a year. That's 80 times 5, that's $400. I paid for my feed almost with the rabbit pelts. I almost made this all self-sufficient in 1 year. Right? That the pelts pay for my feed, the rabbits feed me and they poop and they till my grass. So basically in 2 years it makes money because I don't have to do anything else, because if I get, and I'm averaging 5 kids. Sometimes I get 8 kids. So that's the bonus, and that's more money. So eventually, my rabbit tractoring that I just use for my house to produce food is going to be money making.
Where are you getting your pelts sold?
There's distributors out through Montana.
Yeah, I guess y'all's pelts probably get nicer than ours anyway, just because of the weather. We don't have y'all have such deep, intense cold. Y'all probably get nicer pelts than we do.
Well, and it also depends on what kind of rabbits you raise.
You
might raise. I'm doing New Zealand's, giant New Zealand's, because I'm getting 7 to 8 pounds per bunny, and I'm able to butcher those bunnies every month. Right, because of the feed and stuff. So instead of having a whole litter of kids, I breed 1 rabbit to a doe, and that way in the next month I got 5 bunnies. So that means I have 1 bunny a week I can butcher. So 1 time a week I've got rabbit. Right, so I'm not constantly have to freeze it or nothing. With 80 bunnies per year, that's almost 24 hot wings, 24 dozen hot wings. You cut the little legs off, and now I've made my own hot wings for Super Bowl parties too. That's another bonus. If you take and you would put trays underneath these, and then put a rain gutter in front of the trays, so the trays are at an angle, and the rabbit's poop that rolls down the tray into the rain gutter, and it fills up a 5-gallon bucket of rabbit poop. You can take that rabbit poop and it sells for $10 to $20 for the 5-gallon bucket. That's another money maker for you. After I figured this all out, I'm making 525 pounds of rabbit meat per year, and in 2 years, it's going to make me $300 from the sale of the pelts and the rabbit poop, and I'm going to feed myself off of this system. And that's not including the compost I just told you about, the egg production, as well as my chickens that I get to eat.
Now, if you totally took out the rabbit meat component, they're still working.
Yeah, with the
For the fertilization.
fertilization, like I said, now instead of me buying gasoline and a lawnmower, I made mobile lawnmower tractors, right? I just stick 6 of them in a row, and every 2 hours you just push them forward.
Oh,
Right? You just keep moving them, and one day you can mow your yard. Instead of spending an hour mowing your yard, you can spend your whole day outside gardening and let the rabbits mow your yard. Instead of bowing and pushing and spending gas and buying and maintenance, just let the rabbits do it.
And you see your house.
that's great.
I want, and this is permaculture stacking: compost, chickens, rabbits. I did my permaculture
And then,
stacking.
and then when you put your compost back out there, we've got the cycle returning back to itself.
And he doesn't do a damn thing. His 5-year-old boy takes care of the whole thing.
That 5-year-old boy does all that for us. Yeah, that's his business.
That's a 4th layer right there.
Well, I told you, my whole deal's
He's
get
taking all the credit, but his 5-year-old boy is actually doing
does
it.
all the work. So now I've got this gold pan and some gold, and when this guy puts these quails on this barter blanket, I'm gonna throw this gold pan down and see what he says, see if I can take quails, because I'm gonna put quail on the other end, right? And I'm gonna try to make them integrate it back and forth to see if I can get the chickens to go to one end and the quail on the other, or if they'll all go to one pen. We're gonna see.
I think you may be disappointed in the quail in that. These quail aren't really scratchers too much.
I'm not worried about the scratching part. I just want to be able to, that they'd be able to have a pen to walk down and in.
Right?
I don't want to put pins everywhere. Eventually, this system will go away, but I'm going to make it bigger on a whole other end of my property. Because I want pheasants.
Dang.
Is what I want. So I'm going to do some illegal
Which I
pheasants 12 blocks from the state capital state. So,
Wish I'd known I'd brought you some. I don't have you, but I have access to them.
some ringnecks.
Yeah.
That's my next goal. So hopefully I'll have chickens, quail, pheasants, and rabbits for my meat protection, home, and protein.
All right. I know a guy in San Angelo. All he does is raise birds. Nothing else. He raises wild turkeys and pheasants, and he raises for these big game ranches for them to turn out for these big tycoons to come in and hunt. And I asked him, I said, "You've got every bird there that you could want. What do you eat when you eat birds?" He said, "I eat chuckers because they're better.
You eat chuckers because they're fatter?
They're better."
They're better.
He said, "That's the best eating bird on my place, is a chucker."
What's a chucker?
I have to watch what I get, because see, I have access to peacocks, and peacocks are damn good eating, and they get big.
Peacocks are also worth about two bills a piece.
I've got access to a lot of peacocks, but the whole thing is when you put them anywhere, they do this. Help! Help!
Yeah.
Help! And I can't have that 12 blocks from the state capital in Cheyenne, because they're gonna go, who in the hell's yelling help? There's like 30 people yelling for help. Man, I can't be having, but peacocks are damn good eating. And they grow big, and they lay big litters of peacocks, but they're loud. It's like, well, I would like to have guinea hens, but I don't need all night long from the cats walking down the alley and stuff, because they make.
They're so stupid.
I love guinea hens. They're so stupid. They make a lot of damn noise, man. So those are things like, so I do some guerrilla stuff in my area. This is all guerrilla stuff. So you can't hear the rabbits, you really can't hear the chickens, you're not going to hear the quail, you're not going to hear the pheasant. Like I said, I'd love to have some bigger birds. I'd love to have turkeys, but man, to hear that, I mean, they're going to run me out of town.
You have 6 rabbits in each of your triangles.
No, I've got 6 rabbits total. Each triangle cage is a rabbit.
A rabbit.
A rabbit. The cages are 3 foot long and 2 foot panels.
And you put them in a hutch at night, or
No, that's the whole
Do they
hutch.
require any maintenance?
The hutch is made to where
take care
the
of
triangle
themselves.
part.
Yes. They don't get feed, they don't get water.
Okay.
Well,
I've
they
got-
come out there when we scratch the chickens, and they'll eat
I
scratch.
got 2x4s on the bottom,
I
one.
don't care, whatever.
Yeah. But I got some that roll that, roll.
Oh, okay. You've got a
long
screen.
They throw them all over and.
Yeah, the whole thing's made, but this one's plywood, and that's the hutch part.
Okay.
So this is just where they're gonna go.
Chicken pen.
And I actually did something cool.
When they go up in a
The
tree,
bottom panels of the hutch come out so you can put in wire nesting boxes. So if you have litter, the little baby bunnies can hang in the bottom of the nesting box, and she still can get out and eat without them clinging on her and stuff. We make nesting boxes, and when the nesting box is done,
I don't care.
take those off.
I just had one
Put
of
the
my
panels
chicken
back
pen,
in for the
and
tractors.
I chased it around.
Okay.
Chicken
That
pen
way, when you're
3 or 4
nesting
times
and doing
before I-
bunnies, you just put those nesting boxes in, and they'll just turn over
And
bunnies.
in that whole thing,
Get
you
out.
have 4.
No, this whole system, there's 6. And this one hutch is 1 rabbit.
1 rabbit.
One
does a,
rabbit.
rabbit
6 little
play?
hutches, 6 of these little tractors.
When do you put the males and females together?
I grabbed the female and I put it in the male's hutch.
Bring the female to the
always.
male.
Always.
The female always goes to the
And
male.
then after 16 seconds, you'll see this rabbit go brrr, and it falls off. That's a take. That means you have insemination. You let that go. I usually do that for 4 hours, and then I do a removal, give her a break, and then I bring her back. I bring her right back over there for 4 more hours, and try to get another gestation cycle from her. Now I know people that take, after breeding her with 1 rabbit, a buck, the next day turn around and breed her with a different buck just to see if you can make. I know a guy that pushes out 12 kits by doing that, but I don't really recommend that because then you get a little crosses and stuff like that.
If you'll breed, let them rebreed right then. But get your 2 fall offs at the first session. If you will wait 8 hours before you do your next one, the smart people will tell you that rabbits don't have a menstrual cycle. It's brought on by basically like there's a dude like a cycle.
Yeah, as soon as they see a male rabbit, those male rabbits are like, oh, she's ready.
The egg takes about 8 hours to get down to the fallopian tubes or wherever it is where all the fertilization takes place. If you will wait and do it again 8 hours from then, the egg gets closer, sperm doesn't have as far to go, you get a higher insemination rate.
So not 4 hours, you need to wait 8 hours.
8 hours.
So I'm going to
You're
change
probably
that.
still helping at 4. You've cut the time in half. I mean,
Okay, so I'll try that because I was doing a breed, taking them out, and then doing a 4-hour wait to get another take.
right.
But once you get a take, you're gonna have like 5 kits, and in 1 month I get them to where they're about 3 pounds because they're weaned off, and I'm dry feeding them, and I give them really good feed, and in the next month I can get them to almost 4 to 7 pounds. And just start pulling them out. In 1 year, I can get those bucks to, or I got my doe rabbits right now, 12 pounds a piece. They're big, but they're a year old. So in 1 year, I got these rabbits to be 12 pounds. They're big, right? Like I said, these cages are 3 foot long, right? You got a 1.5 foot that's just for the rabbit, and the rest is just all this cage part. And then inside these cages, they have a water dish. And my water dish is because we're in Wyoming, have electrical cords that you plug into solar, that way that keeps the water. They have a wood stick mounted on the side. That way the rabbits, because rabbits are rats and rodents, they got a gnaw. I've got a mineral bar in here so they get mineral. And it's got water. All right, so the whole hutch is totally self-contained. It has a handle here and a handle here, so you can just pick them up off the thing and move them to start mowing and rabbit tractoring around. Then you just stick them back up there, and they poop in the compost hutches. So
Is your under your plywood is that screen or?
yeah, this is just a wood pallet, and then I put screen doors in the front so I can just drop them to get the compost out. And then this has got chicken wire across the top to go to my chicken coops. And that way you can just set them on there, and then the raccoons don't climb in there because I got raccoon problems. So that way this whole coop is contained for my chickens. And then you just drop these down to get the compost out. And then you can just pick up the rabbit tractors and move them. And I have some of these rabbit tractors, I made them so the bottoms can come out so I can put chickens in them if I want to do chicken tracking.
So you don't stack your rabbits 5 high and give them IVs?
But what's funny is rabbits poop 2 different kinds of poop. They make a poop that's recyclable for them to eat. That's one reason why I have them where my chickens can go through, because my chickens can eat that too, and that's another food supplement.
It's higher fiber, it's higher protein.
And the other thing is, like, I have a guy that does aquaponics. He puts this type of system, now that I showed this to him, he puts the rabbits over top of his fish, and the fish eat the poop. So he's got a supplemental feed from the rabbit poop that he feeds his aquaponics by doing this system that I showed him with the little triangle chicken
You
tractor.
can even have it where the rabbits feed the chickens feed your aquaponics.
You can.
I'll tell your 5-year-old that, and you'll have me move him. It's his operation, by the way.
For cage rabbit people, you got cages set up and you're not moving your rabbits around. Everybody's got the old square cage with the front gate on it. I saw a better cage design. Instead of having this 18-inch high cage with a 10-inch opening in it,
Okay.
at about 3 inches, it slopes back to about right there. And this is anchored. And all this is gone. And then you have your opening right there, which is, you're opening it on the diagonal. Those rabbits don't need 18 inches of headspace throughout their whole pen. They just don't. But instead of leaning over and reaching your arm in, you're reaching down into it.
Oh, instead of opening the door and trying to get down, you open it up like a hatch to just reach in.
So much better. I don't know why I think
I totally understand, because my triangles on my chicken tractors are like this. So when you open the door on this side, it's just reaching in instead of reaching up. And totally get that.
right. It's just stuff you got to think about.
Who? And then I got one question. Anybody here make knives? I have an idea. I want to take a knife handle, and I want to put a metal rod in it.
You gonna make them kill themselves?
No, I want to put a knife
They're
handle.
already doing everything else for you.
If I put a knife handle with a metal rod in it, and I make a plastic sheath, I want to put the metal rod in it, and I want to put water in it, and I want to freeze it. And I want to make a water survival knife for winter that you could just put that in there, put water and freeze it, and you can use it whenever you want in the winter. And if it breaks, it doesn't matter, and it's easier to sharpen because you can just chip off the ice. And I want to make an ice knife that you can freeze the water to use
Ice bullets.
anytime. Just put it in there, just to put in there.
Florida, I don't know.
All right, so you'd have a plastic sheet that you just put water in, and you just shove this handle in, and when you set it outside the next morning, you'd be able to have a knife that you can cut twine with, and it'd just be an emergency. And when the metal rod that I want to use in for it, I want to make out of like a magnesium rod, so then it's also, if you don't have the ice with it, you can use it as your fire starter. So that way you have a fire starter, and then if you want to, you just put the water in the sheath and freeze it, and you have a knife that you could skin or use temporarily if you wanted to. So I didn't know if there was a knife guy. I want to know if the concept would be doable. Then you'd have a magnesium split fire, and
Mike, where you live, you can use it.
probably wouldn't work well in Texas.
I think they tried that on Mythbusters. That was a bullet.
Did they? I don't know.
Was it bullet? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A bullet made of ice?
Yeah, ice bullet.
Oh, I make bullets out of beeswax. They're really great for home protection. Mold your beeswax, pull a little hole in it, drop a dab of mercury in it, put a little beeswax over it. Nice 45 round. hits here, makes a big bruise, but puts that little dab of mercury inside that guy and marks him for about the rest of his life. Right? It won't go through the walls or anything because it's liquid, right? The mercury hits and that's it.
I used to make wax bullets and hook pigeons inside the barn. That way you never blow a hole in the tin roof. That wax bullet was hell on pigeons.
Hell on pigeons. I take Play-Doh and I take shotgun shells. And when I make my shotgun shells, I take Play-Doh and ground glass. And then I stuff that in there. Right? So when you shoot that hits the wall, but it won't go through it. But that ground glass and all that Play-Doh inside somebody, they'll never get it out ever in their life, man. It just keeps chewing them up, and it's Play-Doh. It's gooey, right? It makes a big, powerful sandbag slug, right? That bruises the hell out of somebody at 40 feet. But anything close to that, it's like getting hit with a slug. But it's Play-Doh, right? A little ground glass.
How the hell do you come up with all this stuff? I mean,
I don't sleep. I don't ever sleep. For some reason, I'm like my dad. We don't sleep. We've got it set up that I sleep 6 hours a day. I go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I try to wake around 5. And then I go from 5 to about noon, and I get about 3 more hours of sleep, and then I do something else. So I get 6 hours of sleep, and I do it at 2 intervals. Because if I get 9 hours of sleep, I get too lazy.
Well, people are always set up to sleep in 2 different cycles. Like we were.
That's the way they used to do it back in the day.
Yeah.
That's how you got, when everybody lived in one room and you had one room cabin, that's how you made babies. You made babies at 2 o'clock in the morning while the kids were asleep.
That makes sense. Because if you only got 2 beds in the house, someone's got to sleep when I'm not there. That makes sense. I just know it works. It works good for me. I get 6 hours a day of sleep, and I do it in 2-3 hour intervals. And when you sleep, man, you lay down, and within about 3 to 4 minutes at the most, you're out, and you're already in a deep REM sleep because you're burned out. But then you're already in that deep sleep, and then when you get up, you're all like, "That was a great nap." So I live on the nap theory. I get 2-3 hour naps a day. Oh, max. But I wanted to show you if you guys did rabbits and stuff. That's my rabbit tractoring and how I've stacked it to do compost and all this stuff.